Hello, welcome to the video. Today we're gonna take a look at a little bit of a different video idea here. At least we're gonna take a look at a deep dive for a team that is still from a very strong player here, 3600 rating for RNX Legend push, and we're going to have a team here with the Shadow Dragonite. Also, we're going to have the battles a little bit sorted this time around, which you usually don't really do here. So hopefully I can talk a little bit more about how to play this team, because this team was amazing for me. I only had positive sets the entire day through. I think I had like a 19-6 run, and the craziest thing as well is I basically everything going against me, which is kind of wild as well. You're gonna see it throughout the video, it's going to be kind of wild, but yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about how to play the team here. We're going to start with the positive leads, we're going to have them some neutral leads, and then of course the bad leads later on, so we can see a little bit on how to play against what. Here, first one, we're going to have Quagsire in the lead. We're going to have also the Mandibuzz coming in here against us. This is going to be a Pokemon that we can still deal with, and you kind of want to align yourself. You don't really want to have the Mandibuzz, of course, against the Annihilate, so our best bet is just to go ahead and let the Dragonite go down. We have like one shield disadvantage, but they have an Electrode in the back, which is it home size Henry's team? I just saw that he had like also an Hisuian Electrode team. I'm not too sure if it's the same team here as well. But Focus Blast coming through, we're going to connect. We can take one move here now. And this has to be a Wild Charge, which is kind of important. And so now we have a lot of fast move pressure with our Annihilate, and we can just clean this game up. So we can see then afterwards as well what we're going to have here. As the Mandibuzz goes down, we can move on to the next opponent. Let's see what they're going to run. We're going to have a Giratina in the lead. Again, we're going to start off with all the positive leads, not with all of them. I did like 25 battles. You're going to see like around half of the battles, more of the ones that are a little bit more difficult. But as you're going to see here, the opponent swaps into a Dugong, and I decided to actually go ahead and go into my Registeel. Why I did this? Because the lead was a Giratina. Giratina resists everything that Registeel has. And also, if I end up in a scenario where the opponent tries to align themselves, but their shield's down, still a Shadow Ball going to knock out the Giratina from our Annihilate, and so it does not really matter here. But as you can see, we can go for a Focus Burst, hopefully we can realign ourselves here, and we can realign ourselves, and so we can get the Giratina again against our Dragonite, and we can see what they have in the back. Because usually, if they have a Ghost type in the lead, and they have a Sasop or something like a Dugong, they are very likely have a Pokemon in the back that's going to be weak against Fighting type moves. And so, we're going to see here, it's going to be the Annihilate against the Alone Sandslash, and so there's basically nothing the opponent can do here anymore because we aligned ourselves perfectly. We didn't fall for the bait of getting out the fighter, and we can move on to the next game. The opponent stops out. The opponent stops out immediately into the Annihilate from the Talonflame. This is going to be a matchup that we still kind of want to stay in because our Pokemon in the back are a little bit weak to it, but I'm going to swap out into my Annihilate eventually because I kind of still want to keep my lead alive, as is our best bet for the Talonflame. What we can try to do here is now we can try to go for a Night Session, and hopefully it's going to be enough to knock them out. It is quite important, by the way, to have, it is not by 1 HP, that's great. It's quite important, by the way, to have an Annihilate like the spread that you see on the right side, which are specifically built for the Great League, that has a little bit more of a higher attack stat because it allows you to hit some breakpoints but also win the CMP type. Here, Talonflame, we're gonna go for the bait, and we hope that they go greedy, and they are too greedy now, as we can still reach a Shadow Ball, and we're going to be able to go ahead and knock out the Talonflame, and they're going to have a Ferrothorn in the back, and as you're gonna see here, this is kind of how you play out those winning leads. You kind of just stay in and try to align yourself, and we can move on to some more neutral ones. Charjabug, how do you play against this one? It depends. It really depends. I played like several different kind of ways against this Pokemon. You kind of want to stay in for a little bit for sure. Now you can decide to go for a Dragon Claw, and if you can see here that you get some shields already, for example, you can swap out into the Annihilate. This is one possible option. You can also try to go for the 2-shield scenario with your Dragonite and try to align yourself with that. That's also an option. Both of them are going to be okay, it just depends on kind of what they're going to have in the backline. Here, as you're going to see, I can still most likely get the knockout with my Annihilate, because we were able to catch successfully one of the moves of them. We're going to have a little bit of an extra energy as well, which is going to be great against the opponent's Annihilate, as they can try to go for the bait. This is a little bit risky, but they're definitely going to shield here, right? They do, and so we can definitely knock them out as well. And Annihilate is just going to go to town here right now. As you will see here, the Ice Punch is even going to be better for us. We can just try to go for our own Shadow Ball, and so this is going to be able to take the knockout. They're going to have in the back and a Bomber Snow, and so this is going to be game. And yeah, this was a little bit of a more neutral lead. Again, there are different kind of ways of playing it out. I like to get some damage onto them, because if you get some damage onto the opponent's Charjabug, a Focus Blast as well does around like 50% against them, so like that would be a way of knocking them out as well. Moving on, I feel like Annihilate is a more neutral lead here. That's why I kind of put it into this one. It is not like a clear win for you. You lose, I think, the 0 and the 1 shield scenario, or at least I think actually just the 1 shield, because the 0 you would be, yeah, still kind of surviving with a few HP, but you're always going to be quite low. Here we're going to see again the Dugong swapping in, and what I said before as well is kind of true for this one. You kind of want to swap into your Registeel most likely, because it is very likely if they're going to have a lead of the Annihilate, that they're going to have, when they have a Dugong as a safe swap, very likely a Bastion in the back. Like, that's a very common team in the Open Great League right now. By the way, this team here, if you want to use it for the next season, you can. Next season is not going to change a lot for the meta. It's only going to get Lantern a little bit lower, which is cool for this team, as well as Whiscash a little bit lower, which is also fine with this team. So like, this team is still going to be very viable for the next season. As you can see here, we can align ourselves. We have now an energy advantage as well, and also like a shield advantage, as we're gonna see that they're going to have exactly the Pokemon in the back that I predicted. For me, it was fine to swap out here, because all I know is that I can align my Annihilate anyway against a Pokemon that's very weak to it. We can take a Flamethrower, we still have a shield here, we have the higher attack stat. There is nothing the opponent can really do here, as we can try to go for the full farm down, go for a Shadow Ball, win this game, and this is going to be it for this one. Perfectly played out, and we can move on to the next one. Dragonite against Guzzlord. This one I would really recommend you to swap out of here, because as you're gonna see here, the opponent is going to have a Skarmory, which is totally fine for you. You kind of would rather, of course, have this Pokemon against your Registeel, but your lead is going to be quite weak against something like a Dragon-type Pokemon, because you're also part Dragon, you don't really have a lot of bulk. So as you have two good answers in the back, it's better to swap out of here. And as you're gonna see here, we got the boost, which is quite lucky, but against the Shadow variant, I think we would have been fine also without the boost. We still have a shield left, so I think we would have been fine no matter what, but now we can align ourselves. We have a shield advantage. We can also get some damage onto them and putting the opponent into farmland range even for the Dragonite, but I can swap out, they swap out into the Quagsire, we can align ourselves again. And so while we had to swap out in the lead, because it's better for you to swap out against a Guzzlord or like a Dragonair or a Hakoma almost likely as well. Hakoma is a little bit tricky. We see here we can still win this one. So, there's also different ways of playing against the Charjabug, and there are also ways which you maybe don't want to do, and this might be one of them. As you're gonna see here, the opponent goes for the Exeter, which I did not pay attention to. I have to say I did not pay attention to, because I would have thrown a little bit earlier here if I paid attention towards that, but I didn't, and so, yeah, I would have recommended you to go for the Dragonclaw before that. My only play now is to try to come back from this by farming them all the way down and hoping that they have something weak to Dragonite in the back. It's going to be the Gligar. I think I encountered a total of 3 Gligars throughout my 25 battles, which is quite lucky, because his team can struggle a little bit against Gligar. But as you guys see here, Dragonclaw is going to connect, and we can even go for a third one. And so while we were 2 shields down in the beginning, we were still able to come back kind of from this. As you guys see here, we're now shields even on both sides, but it's a little bit annoying because our backline is quite weak against the Gligar. So we played our lead pretty bad. We have now the worst possible Pokemon in the back here for us. We can still go for a Night Slash. It's not going to be even enough, and they're going to have a Whiscash in the back. That's what we call a hard counter matchup, in my opinion, because there is not a lot that you can do about it. Like, the backline completely walls my backline, the lead was kind of neutral. Those games can happen. Like, those games can happen. Like, I still don't have this as like the lead loss kind of variance there, which we're going to see later on as well. But those can like happen for sure, and you kind of have to just, yeah, realize that not every game you can win, and this is definitely going to be one that you cannot win here because the opponent's team just hardwalls you. And so we can try our best still, but our Dragonite goes down. Maybe if I played the lead a little bit better, I had a chance, but who knows. Moving on to the lead losses, not even actually lead losses, it's actually a neutral lead here. It's going to be still the Gligar here. The Gligar is going to be one that we can stay in. We definitely want to stay in here for sure, because our backline really struggles against it. Issue is, they swap into an Annihilate, and so our goal is here to get them in a range where Night Slash would be able to KO them, but also we kind of need to catch a move most likely, because otherwise there's most likely not really a way of winning this game. It's going to be a very tough one no matter what at this point, because we're quite low already, and the opponent is going to still have very awkward Pokemon for us. But as you guys see, we are able to catch the move. It is going to be the Night Slash, so we keep our Dragonite. We're going to be able to even overfarm by like one fast move here. We win the CMP, I think it was CMP here as well, against the opponent. And so the Night Slash is going to knock them out, and we will see the Gligar coming back in. Because we went one extra here, we are able to also go for a Night Slash, we get them a little bit lower, but this game is not over yet. We really have to play to our best here kinda to still win this one. And what I'm gonna try to do now is I try to catch a dig onto my Dragonite. So what we do, of course, we swap into our Registeel first. My Dragonite is too low to really deal with the Gligar, and we catch the move. Like it is nothing, it is going to be the dig, and so we can, take this one. They have the Poliwrath because we have the energy lead now, because we stayed in for a little bit. The Zap Cannon comes through before they can go for the debuffing move, and so this is gonna put them perfectly into the lock-on down range here, and so we can just try to go for a Focus Blast to knock them out, and we will be able to win the game with that. And so, goodbye Gligar, and we can now move on to the really hard lead losses. So, let's see here, we're going to have an Alolan Sandslash and we're going to see the Giratina coming in. I talked about it earlier already, that I feel that I was quite unlucky today, and as you're going to see, maybe happened a little bit. Of course, like one boost is not something that you can really complain about, 10% chance like a Moonblast. Oh look, we get a boost, so we're kind of lucky, right? Maybe, who knows, we're going to see the Shadow Ball coming in, the opponent uses a shield, and I guess you can already guess what is going to happen next. Honestly, I kind of was losing my mind because there was also some other games before that were kind of in a similar meta where if the game is just more consistent, I would have been able to win. And here I get completely screwed by this. So we're in a very tough spot. Oh, look at this, and a Azumarill in the back. Isn't this lovely? We were able to at least get 2 moves in there. They're going to still have the Sandslash, which can go for the Drill Run here. Our only hope at this point is that we can knock them out here and still get to a Zap Cannon against the Azumarill before they can knock me out. Azumarill has some extra energy, so if they're running Hydro Pump, it's over already. Like, Hydro Pump is going to be an instant loss. They're gonna go for the charge move. Please don't be Hydro Pump. It is the Play Rough, and so we can still reach out for one Zap Cannon. This is not going to knock them out though. And it's not even going to put them into range for a superpower. But we get the attack drop, which is actually quite crucial, because like this, we can swap out, still keep our Registeel alive, superpower coming through, they were in the fast move animation, goodbye Azumarill, and we can see you later, because that's going to knock them out, and we can move on to the next opponent. Dragonite against Azumarill. You kind of want to swap out definitely here, because Azumarill is going to be a matchup that is quite awkward. By the way, I could actually see that the opponent is running, or not the opponent, the player here that beat this team is running Close Combat over Shadow Ball on this Pokemon, because it would make some sense as well. But as you can see here, the opponent going to swap into their Superior. We're gonna get the shield, and this is kind of what we have to take here. And as you're gonna see, we're gonna be able to go up against the opponent's Superior with our Dragonite. A very good matchup for me. I can let the move go through. I can even go for some Dragon Claw damage afterwards. And honestly, my opponent did not play this well at all. I feel like this matchup is definitely going to be something that the opponent did not play as well, because I don't really understand that they went for a shield here. For me, this is just going to give me more farm. And they do even something weirder. They swap out into the Azumarill now. And so, if I'm going to be able to hit that Zap Cannon and gonna get the debuff, I'm gonna be in such a good spot because I can just lock on them down most likely. Turns out I don't get the debuff, so 33% chance for not getting the debuff here. And they also have Hydro Pump, which is going to make this matchup so much worse. Like literally, if I just did not have, like if they just did get the debuff there, which is like way more likely, I would have had so much more healthy at this point. And as you can imagine already, this is going to come in clutch for them later on, as we kind of have to rely now on our Dragonite. We can farm them down, we have to hope there's something in the back that we can beat. And literally, we would have been able to beat this Pokemon easily if we just had more health on the other one, on the Registeel there. But yeah, it is what it is. We can move on to the next opponent. Horrible lead, we can swap out into our Registeel. I actually would recommend you to go into the Registeel over the Annihilate. Why? Main reason is that most people are running Grass Hole / Victory Bell and the Wigglytuff in the back with this kind of lead, and it's better to shield up something like a Flamethrower and get out something like the Victory Bell. This is quite important, because what you can also do is you can still keep your Registeel around. Registeel is your only hardcore breaker for basically those very toxic teams, and so what you want to do is you want to use a shield here. You want to keep this Pokemon alive. That is your only way of having a potential way of winning this game, or like winning yeah, in general those matchups. And so at least we're going to be able to get a ton of energy now on our Dragonite, which is going to be kind of nice here for the upcoming matchup, which is going to be against the Bastion. I can knock them out. But against Wigglytuff, it's going to be still a tough matchup for our Registeel, but it's not going to be a Wigglytuff. It is going to be a Tropius, but it's sadly actually Air Slash, which is way worse for this team. But I have to just hope and pray for the debuff here of the mighty Zap Cannon, and it is going to be a debuff, and so we're going to be in a kind of okay spot now. We have some more Frame Drops. Frame Drops are not gone yet, and so Leaf Blade is going to be able to connect here. We can swap out into our Annihilate, and this was maybe a mistake. I kind of want to swap out onto a Leaf Blade trying to catch that one. They didn't go for the Leaf Blade. Now I'm going to risk it to go for the Shadow Ball. I can still reach this, which is quite important because what you're going to see next is that this is going to do quite a lot of damage. We can try to go for the full Farm Down as well. But as you're going to see here from the opponent, Leaf Blade is coming through. We're going to be able to go for that Focus Blast and knock them out. Goodbye there. And this is going to be it for this one. I think this should be the final battle for today here. Bastion in the lead. This is going to be an interesting one for sure. We're going to see them swapping into the Wigglytuff, getting completely hardballed. And this is kind of why I wanted to showcase that to you. This is kind of why you rather want to go into the Registeel over the Annihilate in like those scenarios where you're going to encounter a Bastion. This was a battle before the other one, so like I did not have the knowledge they had before then. But yeah, we still have a chance of maybe getting back from this one because we got the shield from the opponent. I decided to use a shield here, which is silly at the end of the day because they're very likely going to have the Shadow Victory Bell in the back, right? And they're going to have a Bastion. And at the end of the day, I either have to shield up Flamethrower or I have to shield up Leaf Blade, and both of them going to be more like hard hitting compared to something like the Icy Wind. And so it was kind of silly for me to go ahead and shield up that Icy Wind, but as you're gonna see here, I'm going to also, this was also kind of awkward because it's exactly 1 HP, which you're gonna see after the shield goes through because you're gonna get knocked out from this one. Usually Lock On always knocks them out before they go for a charge move, and this completely changes the entire game for me as well, which is quite annoying because now they're going to be able to just, yeah, shield up. I cannot shield up against them, and I'm fairly certain I still had at least a chance of winning this game if I just had that extra shield, and also if I would have got the debuff there from the Zap Cannon. But this game was not really it for me today. Hopefully you still enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you have not already. If you want to see more of this type of content, then also let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.